Good morning. Good morning, my people. How's everyone doing? We're gonna hang tight for a few minutes and let everybody jump in. We'll just give everyone a couple minutes to jump on. I've got a few screens open, so I apologize if I deal with some tech issues, but I would love to hear where everybody's from in the meantime. I think I got my chat open and my Q&A open. So let me know where you guys are from. I would love to know where everyone is tuning in from. Here we go. Mercy, what's up, Miami? I just read an article about your mayor this morning. Fascinating man. Houston, Texas. What is up? I got a lot of love for Houston. I'm excited to be in Dallas for Summit this year. It's gonna be a blast. Let me know if you guys are gonna be in Summit. I'd love to connect with you guys there. Alyssa, what is up, Alyssa? Good morning. Good morning. Trevor from Denver. You guys are making my day. The one suggestion I have for the ecosystem or for the Tom Ferry crew, specifically Roberto, because he's watching, is I would love if I could see everybody. I know it's like logistics. You can't have people like chirping up and getting through a presentation, but I would love to see you guys. I get my energy from y'all. Statesboro, Georgia. I don't know where Statesboro is, but I know where Georgia is. What's up? Good afternoon from NYZ. Arez, what's up? What's up, guys? All right, so it's 9:02. What do you think? We give them one more minute, 9:03. 3 minutes late, and then we just get started on this. Hello from Buffalo. What's up, Buffalo? I appreciate everybody jumping on a 9:30 or a 9 a.m. on Tuesday. 9 a.m.s on Tuesday really consist of role playing for me. I imagine that a bunch of you guys are like up and running around by this time already as well. So I appreciate you guys adjusting to be learning from me and learning from each other. What we're talking about today is, I've tweaked the title from originally what it was solicited for my slideshow, but the essential guide for SMART goals. And SMART is an acronym that we'll be jumping into today. And because the topic, in my opinion, doesn't require, I think, my need to really belabor certain points. My goal is to move through this material as quick as I can, so that we can talk at the end. If you guys have questions, we can brainstorm, we can collaborate. But I really want to make this as helpful as I can for you guys. And I don't want to just like talk at a screen, especially when the stuff is straightforward. So you let me know if this is easy or obvious and I can move quicker or slower. But we're talking the essential guide for SMART goals today. And if you guys want to stay connected with me, my name is Chris Benjamin. I don't know if I've said that yet, but my name is Chris Benjamin. That QR code in the corner is for my Instagram. I'm pretty active online. I would love to stay connected with you guys. And if you don't have time to get to the questions, or if I don't have time to get to some of the questions today, or you want to talk offline, shoot me a DM. Shoot me the DM. Don't just like send me a follow, but shoot me the DM and say, hey, Chris, let's talk. And I would be happy to jump into it with you guys. So like I said, my name is Chris Benjamin. I figured I'd give you guys a little bit of background on myself to give me sort of like credibility about talking on this topic today. I love the ecosystem. I have been part of Tom Ferry since 2018. I am in a career change, which I'm sure some of you are as well. I was an attorney, or I am an attorney by trade. I was a public defender for years, and I transitioned into real estate. My family has been in this business for a long time, 34 years. And when the opportunity arose for me to move back home, I took it. And I met my wife. We just had a baby, and that kind of has brought me back to Southern California. So that's a little bit about myself. I would love to share with you guys a little bit about my business and maybe my personal life, because I want to give context to why I'm talking about SMART goals, or I think why Tom and the team sort of asked me to talk about goal setting. As far as my production goes, we're slightly behind our goal, and I think many of us are, but we're slightly behind our goal. We are just about 50 pending and closed transactions for the year. I apologize, I don't have the volume in front of me. I think we're right around 40 million-ish in volume. I can double check that. So we're doing good. It's behind on what I initially planned, but I share it with you not for any other reason, but to give me some, give you guys some context on what I'm doing in the business and how how I think it just sort of supports what I want to talk to you guys about today. So outside of the business, I'm a big climber. I love climbing. I had the opportunity to climb Mount Everest last year, and that's kind of where I want us to begin today. So some of you guys that might know me might have heard some stories about Everest, and I really am not going to get into anything that happened on the mountain. However, I really do want to start because I think it's appropriate for all of us to begin with what really happens when we set a goal, because the goal is a beautiful thing when it's accomplished. The goal is a beautiful thing when we are brainstorming and developing it. But what I've come to find out when we set big goals is that they are difficult when the sauce gets hot, so to speak. So I share with you guys a short story to set the context of this. And if you guys have questions, please drop them in the Q&A or the chat bot. But I have been climbing for many years, and I have been climbing many mountains leading up to Mount Everest that I climbed last year. But specifically, the training for Mount Everest turned up a bunch of dials before I left on my trip. So about 12 months before the trip, the training really got turned up significantly, as anything would as the goal approaches or as like sort of test date approaches. And for about 12 months or so, every Sunday, just about every Sunday, I would have something called a muscular endurance day. And what a muscular endurance day is pretty much putting your body through the ringer. I would climb about 8,000 vertical feet. I'm in San Diego for a lot of my training, so I don't have access to altitude, which means I'm climbing our local peak. The biggest one is about 4,000 feet. And I would do it 2 times back to back so that I could accomplish about 8,000 feet of vertical gain in one day. And I would do it every Sunday. I would wake up at about 4 a.m. So I could be out the door and on the trailhead by about 4:40. I would do it with 40 pounds on my back in order to simulate what would happen on the mountain. And I would climb 16 miles. It was 8 miles round trip, and I would do it up and down twice. Now, it was really hard training, and I would do it every Sunday. And every Sunday, the alarm would go off, and I would really consider not getting out of bed. And the biggest motivation, and this ties to the goals, and you guys will understand as we get further in the presentation, but the biggest motivation that I had to get out of bed every morning is that every time I thought about skipping a workout or skipping specifically this Sunday training session, I thought to myself, it increases the probability of me not coming home safely. And I know that's a little bit morbid. However, if you can have a reason why that is so big that it literally scares the shit out of you, so much so that it forces you to wake up at ungodly hours, that is the kind of why that you need to motivate yourself when you are feeling a little bit down. We're going to be rah. However, I want to be real with you guys. I'm a human and we all have pitfalls. And I think those pitfalls can sometimes derail us from our goals. So with that, let's jump into this, unless anybody has anything based on that. So let me figure out, for being so tech enabled, I'm still a human, so bear with me, guys. Let me just put this on present from current slide and make this full screen for you guys. Okay, so we're covering a few things today. We just want to go over the agenda so you understand the blueprint. I'm not going to go for much more than 15 minutes or so unless you guys have any questions. But we're going to talk about what are SMART goals. It's an acronym that I'm excited to share with you guys. Some of you guys might already know it, but it's a great way to set some goals. We're going to touch on a 6-month check-in. We're in July. We're halfway through the year. Now is a perfect time. I don't know if it was a coincidence or on purpose. We're going to give Roberto the credit, but it was a perfect time to set a goal-setting seminar halfway through the year. This is the perfect time to reevaluate. And I think reevaluating is what people don't do enough. Lastly, we're going to talk about how to follow through and end with some questions. So let's quickly jump into what are SMART goals. If anybody's in the chat bot, before I switch over, if anybody knows what SMART goals are, go ahead and dump them in there. You could flex your knowledge. But SMART is simply an acronym for goals that are specific. Here we go, Trupti, I appreciate you. Goals that are specific, measurable, attainable. Here we go. Let's go. I don't want to cut you. Well, I guess you're reading it now. Relevant and time bound. So SMART is an acronym simply for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. That's my presentation. I'll see you guys at the summit. I'm just kidding with you all, but it really is that straightforward. And I don't expect any of this to be profound. All I want for us is to be thinking about our goals a little bit differently so that we can push the limits a little bit further and at the same time be graceful with ourselves when we fall a little bit short. So that's our topic today: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. Let's jump into the nitty gritty of each of these because I think this is where people can get lost a bit. So we're going to start with specific goals. So I give us some examples. These things are straightforward. A specific goal, and this is something that I hear all the time. I talk to a lot of agents. I have a small team with newer agents, and the first line is always like, I want to sell a lot of houses. I want to sell a lot of houses. How many of you guys have heard that before? I want to sell a lot of houses. A lot of houses is not nearly a goal that's concrete enough that will allow us to accomplish it. It's not nearly concrete enough. You guys have heard this forever. I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. What does that mean exactly? I want to lose weight so I can just like button my pants. I want to lose 5 pounds. It's very vague. So instead of I want to sell a lot of houses, I will sell 100 houses this year. Many of these examples that I'm using I'm using myself as an example. So some of these goals, some of these things, I'm using myself as the avatar because as I was preparing this, I am working through my own goals. So I'm never saying I'm going to sell a lot of houses. I'm going to sell 100 houses. For my goals this week, I'm not going to sell a house this week, or I'm not going to sell houses this week. I'm going to put 2 houses under contract this week. Specificity, extreme specificity, no ambiguity. I want to get in shape. Instead, I will exercise 5 times a week and I will eat 3 servings of veggies a day. There's no ambiguity to that. Of course, my specific goal of getting into shape is different than, let's say, Deborah's goal of getting into shape. However, there's no ambiguity. And if I was to give this to a friend, they would understand it very clearly. And there's no room for them to misunderstand this. I'm going to exercise 5 days a week. It could get even more specific because it should be I'll exercise 5 days a week for 1 hour and eat 3 servings of veggies. But my point is, there's no room for anybody to misinterpret something. And we are the ones that are most guilty of misinterpreting ourselves when the going gets tough. So no ambiguity. And the last piece, I want to be active on social media. I want to be active on social media. What the hell does that mean exactly? I want to be active on social media. Instead, I will post 4 pieces of content a week. And this is me getting hyper specific: a personal piece, a house tour, an informational piece, and a community related piece. I'm taking out any of the guesswork when I'm setting these specific goals for myself. They are set with precise detail. And the question that I would ask you to pose to yourself is the goal specific enough? And if there is any room for ambiguity, or if you just have like that little hair on your back and you're like, is this clear enough? Ask a friend. Ask a friend. And if they can't give it to you back with clear detail, it's not clear enough. We got our first question from Benjamin Feet. If you say I will, how can you assure that it will happen? That's great, Benjamin. That's a great question. So I think there's 2 prongs right there. We're going to get to a slide that is going to speak about attainable goals. When you're at the attainable portion, and we're going to get there in a second, that is when you know it's going to be happen or not happen. The second thing that I was going to say is self-talk. Self-talk is big, Benjamin. Self-talk is big. So when I'm talking to myself, there's very little of I think I'm going to do it. I am manifesting these goals, and I'm making sure that the goals that I'm manifesting are attainable, that they're realistic. And we're going to touch on that. That was a great question. So friend is misspelled. I appreciate you, Deborah. God bless you. You get the spelling bee award for this morning. Ryan Stevens, my guy out of Arkansas. I love you, my guy. Thank you. So if anybody has anything on specific, very straightforward, precise detail, no ambiguity. This is a huge piece for me. Measurable. If we cannot quantify, if we cannot measure and track our progress, we are missing the mark. Because how can we set a goal in 2023, come short, and then reapply ourselves to that same goal in 2024 without tracking our progress? The thing about certain goals is the bite-sized ones are easy. It's like a tattoo. I have a lot of tattoos, and like my favorite tattoo is the one that's really small because I can go into the shop, walk out of the shop, with a new tattoo and everybody's very happy. My least favorite tattoos are similar to these goals that cannot get accomplished in a day. I'm talking about that tattoo that takes like 4 or 5 sessions. I'm talking about that goal like climbing Mount Everest or maybe or closing 100 transactions a year that you fall short the first time. When you fall short the first time, do we throw that goal away because we don't care anymore? Do we throw it away because we failed? Or are we going to readdress it the following opportunity that we get? How can we redress it effectively if we don't measure our goals? So right here, what I have for us is tangible metrics. This is my favorite, and it's specific amongst, I don't want to even call any certain agents, new agents, old agents. It's just agents generally. Not this. If you said this, don't say this again. I make calls for hours. I make calls for hours. What does that mean? I make calls for hours. How many hours? How many conversations are you having? How many people are you talking to? I don't like that metrics. I make calls for hours. It's not effective to me. Instead, I set 2 appointments a day. That's a specific measurable goal. I can quantify that. I can put my finger on it. I can say Tuesday, I set 2 appointments. Wednesday, I'm going to try to beat my time and set 3 appointments. I can't say I'm going to make calls for more hours, right? It's not specific enough. You need to track your progress. We need to track our progress, whether it is a Google Doc. I'm using a very simple Google Doc. If you guys would like it, shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'll find you my Google Doc and I'll share it with you. It's basic. Conversations, appointments, conversations, appointments. That's all I want you to track. I'm also tracking like social media posts. But what I'm saying is whatever your goal is, you need to track it. So here I have this tracking progress. I will post a few times this week. That's excuse me, that's crazy to me. I will post a few times this week. The people that say I will post a few times this week never post anything. Instead, I will post 1 story every day and 3 wall posts. I've committed specifically. So when on Wednesday morning comes about and I never posted Monday, I never posted Tuesday, I never posted Wednesday, that tells me that I got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to accomplish my goal. Right? Extreme specificity, no guesswork, no guesswork. When we guess, we fail. Last piece, completely objective. I'm going to exercise hard. What does that mean? I'm going to exercise hard. I know I'm belaboring these points, but it's like, come on, I will burn 300 calories per workout. I'm going to reference this at the end, but I'm just going to drop it here for you guys to think about. What real estate agents or entrepreneurs or business people or very hungry individuals need to understand today is, are we here to work hard or are we here to do what it takes? And I'm going to be more delicate a little bit further in the presentation, but I will be very clear and direct with you right now. We are 6 months through the year. If we are showing up and we are saying, I am working hard every day, but we are not hitting our goals, it's the time to readdress them. But more importantly, it's also the time to ask ourselves, is working hard getting the job done? Or is it falling short? Alternatively, do I need to do whatever it takes? You guys following what I mean, whatever it takes? I made calls for 3 hours. Beautiful. Nobody picked up the phone. I'm not one person closer to a transaction. Do I keep picking up the phone or do I stop because I made calls for 3 hours? Are we working hard? Are we doing what it takes? Think about that. Next slide. Attainable goals. So this is a perfect example. This sort of highlights what Brian was at, or Benjamin was asking. Benjamin was like, how do you set something that you know is going to happen? Attainable goals are based on what you know your ability is. This ties very well to measuring, because the longer that you can measure your progress, the longer that you can measure the work that you're doing, the better that you can evaluate what's considered attainable and what's not considered attainable. So when you set an attainable goal, you want to make sure that it's challenging. That means that you want to set it in a way that it's making you reach for something. However, you want to make sure that it's realistic. You don't want to set yourself up for failure, because the worst thing that we can do is set an overly ambitious goal, fail, and instead of it motivating us to work harder, it cripples us or it paralyzes us from doing anything else. That's where social media and stuff can get dangerous. Even with the ecosystem, is oftentimes we will see a colleague do something and we're like, damn, I didn't close anything last month. I feel terrible about myself. And it derails your goals. You end up not making calls at all. I'm asking you guys to wave a metaphorical hand. But how many of you have been late for something? Let's say that you plan to make calls at 10 every morning, and instead you show up at 10:15 or 10:20, and you said, I'm late. Fuck it. I'm not making my calls anymore because it's 10:20. You can't approach the goals that way. We have to commit to them. And that's why the more attainable we can make them, the more realistic we can make them, the easier it is to commit to them. So we make them challenging. That means if you've never climbed a mountain before, your goal is not to climb Mount Everest your first year. That means if we've never sold a house before, your goal is not to sell 100 houses this year. Specifically, if we are new to the phones, how many conversations do I need to have to challenge myself that is realistic for me to get business? Because the number of calls that the brand new agent day one has to make is going to be grossly less than the number of calls me or somebody like one of my counterparts would have to make, because I've spent so many hours on the phone. So I say this facetiously, but I mean it. Are you Gary Vee, or have you just downloaded Instagram? Are you Mark Zuckerberg? You're ready to like take over the internet? We can set the goal that we're going to show up on post content 5 days a week. Or did I just download the app? I don't even know how to post something to my story. We want to set goals that challenge ourselves, but that do not derail ourselves in the long run. Agents are type A personalities. Agents are hypercritical on themselves. I am my own worst enemy. Be very careful not to go down the slippery slope when we start falling away from our goals, because what that can do is derail us entirely and we lose sight of what we were really doing this for. Attainable, relevant. I honestly think they said relevant because without the R, it would just be SMAT. And I think they needed the R to make it SMART goals. I'm just kidding. That was kind of a bad joke. Goals need to be relevant. What's relevant to me is not necessarily relevant to you. And I've given us some examples that have to do with like fitness or climbing, and that might resonate with you because you're not into the same objective that I'm into. The reason that I think this is an important point to make is, are you setting the goals for yourself, or are you setting them for people around you? And what I mean by that is, the internet is a dangerous place. And as much as I love real estate and I love all my colleagues, it's hard when people are not performing at the same levels, but all you see is the victories. So what I'm trying to say is, just because I said my goal is 100 transactions, or just because we see, I don't know, DJ and Lindsay, like the team out of Jacksonville, selling $1 billion worth of real estate like every 6 months, just because we're not them, or just because we're not them, doesn't mean that we can't have a big goal like that. However, what I'm saying is it has to be true to you. Don't set a goal just to set it. We're not setting goals because it's like sports, it's fun. We're setting goals because we want to accomplish something that's meaningful to us personally. I think that when a goal is relevant, when a goal is clear and important to you, it's easy to push through the shit. It's easy to push through the wind, the negative 50 degrees outside, not being able to breathe, the oxygen mask on your face, because you know your why. And with a clear understanding of why you're doing something, with a massive monkey on your back that says, if I don't do X, if I don't set this appointment, then the family goes hungry. Or if I don't do this workout, and this is drastic, but maybe drastic things is what we need to like push ourselves. But if I don't make this workout, I might not come home from this climbing trip. Those are the kind of things that push you when they don't feel relevant in the moment. I hope that's helpful. Goals need to be aligned with your vision. If they're not aligned with your vision, they're easy to shrug off. Time bound. Without something that is time bound, there is zero urgency. Zero urgency. I've had this presentation on my schedule for quite some time. And although that I began working on it when Roberto tapped me for it a few months back, I really didn't start pushing the pedal until it was closer. And the reason why is because timelines, deadlines create senses of urgency. So really what we need to understand is that even if we are setting a deadline 1 year out, 2 years out, 3 years out, so long as that deadline is realistic for the goal that we want to accomplish, that's good. That's okay because we are moving towards something. What I would suggest is that if we have some massive goal, I love using Everest because for me personally, it was a goal that I had been training for 10 freaking years. Probably could have done it much faster than that, but it took me 10 years and it was a goal that I had sight of for that long. My point is, it's okay to have these goals that are long and drawn out. However, we need to make sure that we have checkpoints throughout the process to reevaluate, assess, and move forward effectively. A goal without a timeline or a goal without a deadline is, I don't know what the hell it is. It's nothing. It's not a goal. So deadlines create urgency. Add a deadline to your goals or just keep sucking air. I'm not sure. Adjusting. I don't think anybody has any questions yet. These have been fairly straightforward, and I'm being sort of facetious, but like this is just a reminder for all of us. We all dream big and we all fall off the rails. This is where we're going to be very transparent, and I want you guys to be honest with yourself as far as adjusting your mid-year goals. Actually, I want to go back to something because I skipped it here. What is your number? This goes back to Benjamin. I'm sorry being a little bit out of order, but this is really important. I want you guys to work through this very quickly with me. What is your number when it comes to an attainable goal? We're specifically going to be talking conversations and appointment setting because we're real estate agents and most of the business is done on the phone. So very quickly, I want you to think about, so we have 6 months left in the year. This is going to be, what is your number? I'm going to bring us to the 6-month goal. I want everyone to think about how many houses they intend to sell on the rest of the year. So I told you guys, my phone's off because I didn't want this to distract me, but I told you guys that I'm about halfway to my goal. Actually, I'm sorry, that we're halfway through the year and I'm just under 50 transactions pending and closed. That is behind on my goal. My goal when this year began was 144 transactions. Last year, I was gone for 2 months climbing Everest and I closed 96 transactions. I thought that 144 was like a good goal. I didn't realize that having the baby was going to derail me so much. So I'm very grateful. I have an abundance. However, I'm behind on my goal. And at 6 months into the year, it's important for you to evaluate where you are so that you can adjust accordingly and not have sort of the bag over your head in November and say, how did I end up here? So I'm quickly going to run through this exercise and then I'm going to, write it down in my to-do list. Yes, write it down in your to-do list, Rosie. So I'm going to quickly give you guys this exercise because if you can't walk away with anything, walk away with this because this is very powerful. I've done this before on a webinar, but I think it's important to highlight. How many houses do you want to sell the rest of the year? We're going to use mine and I'm going to round it to an even 100. I want to sell 100 this year. That gives me 50 houses left that I need to sell. Based on my skill, based on my ability, it takes me between 50 and 80 conversations to close one transaction. This is a range. We're going to say that between 50 and 80. I'm going to round it up because I don't want to shortchange myself. So if I want to sell 50 houses before the year is over, and it takes me 80 conversations to sell one house, that means that before now and the end of the year, I need to talk to 4,000 people, 4,000 conversations. Okay. How do I have 4,000 conversations? You break it into small bite-sized pieces. You break it into small goals. Let's just say hypothetically, this is not exactly accurate because we're not always working the weekends, but I'm not going to look up how many work days are left in the year. Somebody wants to look up how many work days are left in the year and tell me in the chat bot, it would give us some more accurate math. But let's just say there's 180 days left in the year. There's 180 days left in the year and I'm going to work every single day that's left. I'm going to take 4,000 and I'm going to divide it by 180 and it's going to get me 22.2 conversations a day. That means if I talk to 22.2 people every single day for the rest of the year, I'll hit my goal. It's obviously harder than just saying it. It's really hard to do it, but do that exercise. If you did that too quickly, send me a DM and I'm happy to walk you through it again. But know your number and be honest with yourself. So on this adjusting your mid-year goal, Mark, life happens. Life really happens. I had a baby this year. Not only did I have a baby, now that the baby is here, the baby is a distraction. So I was like in the hospital, we were in the NICU, and now the baby's here. And I'm like, I don't want to work. I just want to hang out with this baby because like I love him. It's a distraction, but life happens. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Give yourself grace. Identify the challenges that have arisen and how to address them. So shit is going to happen. We are going to get derailed. Be graceful with yourself. I'm not saying blame it on the market. Don't blame it on the market. Don't blame it on the market. However, the market has an influence on what we are doing. So give yourself grace. Be easy on yourself. Be compassionate on yourself. However, after you felt bad for a few minutes, after you've licked the wounds for a little bit, move forward. Slap a band-aid on it and move forward. So I think that was Roberto that gave me 115 days plus or minus. That means I'm going to have a lot of work on my hands. So if I have to have 4,000 conversations before the end of the year and there are 115 days left, I need to speak to 34.7 people every single day to accomplish that goal. Sheesh. I hope Tom watches this and keeps me accountable. Review, identify, adjust. Review, identify, adjust. I've adjusted my goal. The original goal was 144. It's adjusted to 100 now. We're going to hit that goal. I'm not doing it by myself, but I know that we're going to hit it. Or alternatively, I am committed to hitting it, and I really am doing everything I can in order to accomplish that. When we have conversations, especially during, okay, here's a question that we got. When we have conversations, especially during cold calling, do the hangups, negative conversations count towards the total goal, or are we counting productive conversations only? Anonymous attendee, that is a great question. We do not count hangups. We do not count hangups. When you say negative conversation, if the conversation was negative because you didn't set an appointment, or the conversation was negative because they were like, I'm not interested in real estate, but you still talk to them about real estate, that's a conversation and that counts. That totally counts. Don't count phone calls you're making. Don't count hangups. If they don't get past one word, just like hello, click, that doesn't count. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Are we having a legitimate conversation? A no, I'm not interested, go fuck off. Like I told you, I don't want to sell my house. That's a conversation. Every no is one closer to the yes. So don't be discouraged by the no's. They will get you closer to the yes. Just don't let them derail you, because sometimes that happens. I'm going to give you guys a couple quick examples because sure enough, I talked more than I said I would. Sales and production goals. This was sort of based on what I'm doing. I'm not asking you guys to do the same one, but I'm using myself as an example. So if I have 20 conversations a day, that's my goal, 20 conversations a day, it equals 2 appointments a day. That's really like my bigger, more measurable goal, is I want to be having 2 appointments every single day. Sometimes that takes me 30 minutes. Sometimes that takes me 3 hours. I want to set 10 appointments every single week. It's very measurable. It's very specific. It's very clear. There's a deadline. I want to sell 100 houses in 2023. I could have made that more clear. I should have said, I want to close 100 houses by December 31st, 2023, because everybody knows what I put into escrow in December will be for 2024. I'm making it simple. I'm making it very clear. I'm taking out any guesswork. Anybody that saw this knows exactly what it is that I'm trying to accomplish. Health and fitness goals. I'm manifesting this. So I'm using you guys as an opportunity to manifest. I'm planting the seed in my wife's brain to allow me to climb K2. She has not given me her blessing yet. However, this was similar to what I did training for Everest. And this is what I'm going to do when I start training for K2. So I'll average about 12 hours of strength and endurance training a week. Do you see how I'm not saying I'm just going to go to the gym? I literally know exactly how many hours that I'm going to train. I'm going to climb 8,000 feet 3 times a month with a 40-pound back. So that means about every other Sunday, or like 3 Sundays of the month, I'll do a big climb, one that I described at the beginning. 3 days a week, I'll do cryotherapy chamber training. That's like cold exposure. I'll do 1 prep climb in the Andes, Himalayas, and then I'm going to climb it K2 in June of 2024. I'm joking, kind of. I really do want to climb K2, but I'm writing it out in a way that I'm making it real for myself. And these goals might not be for you, but they're for me. And I'm not asking you to exercise 12 hours a day, but I enjoy that process because the goal journey is enough fun for me to show up every day and do it. And this doesn't really like, the reason why I think this is important when it ties to real estate is you have to find satisfaction in what you're doing. So if you hate making calls, or you hate door knocking, you hate talking to clients, you hate serving people, a big ass commission check is not enough to get you to show up every day. It's just not. So I really encourage you to ask yourself, why are you in this? What do you enjoy about it? The pieces of the business that give you joy, allow it to fill up your cup for the pieces that don't give you joy. But if it's for a check, if our goal is a check, I think we need to think bigger, or we need to think of a more important why, because making money, unfortunately, I don't think is a big enough motivation to show up when you're on the phone for 3 hours and nobody has picked up all afternoon. You need a bigger why. Content and marketing goals. These are just small examples, really fast, 5 days a week. So instead of, I'm just going to post content 5 days a week, I'm going to be posting on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and my blog. Once a week, I'm going to send a database email. Once every 2 months, I'm going to try and use seller lead generation ad. You guys got questions about some seller lead gen ads? Shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'm testing some stuff. It's working. I'm trying to get 5 Google reviews per month. And once a week, I'm trying to collab with a small business. These are just different goals that I'm trying to give you that you can set for yourself. They're also goals that I'm applying to my life, that you're welcome to glean for yours. So we're running through this, how to follow through. When the going gets tough, when shit hits the fan, when life feels very hard, how do we continue to follow through? Write it down. My wife is in her surgical residency. She's very high functioning. She's very high performing. She loves a daily checklist. So Paige, my beautiful wife, has daily goals. She writes it down every single day on a daily checklist, a daily to-do list. I also do the same thing. It's like a priority list, and I'm revisiting that every day. Number 2, share publicly. There is a reason why I am telling you guys certain things on this Zoom right now. I am keeping myself accountable. This is being recorded. You guys all know who I am. I will hopefully, and God willing, connect with you guys at the summit in Dallas. And someone's going to ask me, are you closer to your 100? I mean that. Do you have anything geared up and prepped for K2? So sharing your goals publicly will keep you accountable. If anybody wants a great way to be held accountable, post that shit on social media. People love challenges. People love the struggle and the hard work and the grit. You guys want to create a community to support you in one of your goals? Post a 30-day challenge and give the world an update on your progress every single day. Share it publicly. It will help you stay on track. Evaluate progress. Nobody wants to do this because nobody wants the bad news. 6 months, halfway through the year, have you looked at your bank account? Have you counted how many commission checks you cashed? How close are you to your goal? Have you looked at the escrow sheet? Do we know how many are in the pipeline? How many are pending? How many are closed? 6 months through the year. Do not wait till October or November to wipe the egg off your face. Celebrate wins. Celebrate wins. This is how you get through the shit. When I set an appointment, man, it doesn't matter if I'm in my bedroom by myself. It doesn't matter if I'm in an office. It doesn't matter if I'm in the front yard hammering the phones. When I set an appointment, I don't care if it's a buyer consult for a mobile home. I don't care if it's a listing appointment for a $2 million expired. I don't care. I am stepping away from my computer. I am putting my hands above my head and I am pumping my fists. And you guys think I'm fucking around. I'm so serious because it reinforces my excitement when I do something really good like that. When I'm physically in my office, I ring the gong. If you have a gong or you have a bell, ring that bell because it reinforces the positive wins when they're happening. And the final piece is you have to enjoy the process. I touched upon this already, but you really have to enjoy the process. And you have to allow the pieces of the business that fill up your cup pour into the pieces of the business that suck your soul out. And what I mean by that is if you fucking hate making content, you hate picking up the camera, but you love picking up the phone. I would love if that was the case for a lot of you. But if you love picking up the phone, find satisfaction and pleasure in picking up the phone. And then do a little bit of video and allow the satisfaction of of picking up the phone to encourage and motivate you to make better video. Does that make sense? I love making video. I love making videos. I really love making videos. I do enjoy making calls because I've been building that muscle. But do you know what motivates me when I'm calling these luxury expireds? I can't wait to make a video in your house. The videos are motivating me to work hard on the phone because I want to make a video about it. You guys following me? Enjoy the process. You want to have a six-pack abs? You better like vegetables. You want to have six-pack abs? You better like cardio. You don't like cardio? You're not going to like having the abs that much. You guys following me? It's about the journey. It's about how we get there. It's very rarely getting there because even something like Mount Everest, I was on the summit for 25 minutes and it was done. The memories that I have are the pursuit, right? We close all these escrows at the end of the year. I'll see this big number on the board. And then what? And then what? That's it, guys. The QR code is my Instagram on the right. The QR code to the left is a weekly tips email. I send an email out every week. It's totally free. It's just got like things that I'm doing in my business, things I get from the ecosystem, just putting it in one place for everybody. So I hope this was helpful. I'm going to open up my chat bot. God bless you guys. And if anybody has any questions, I'm here for them. Okay, so thank you so much. I appreciate you, Kasha. Katya? Okay. You're doing great. Attendance has been staying. Okay. What qualifies as an appointment? What qualifies as an appointment for me, Trupti, is a time on the calendar that is designated to talk real estate with somebody. So if I'm on the phone with you and you're not going to buy a house in 12 months, however, I would say, listen, Trupti, I'm not saying buying a house is for you this year, but how about you and me jump on a quick 20-minute Zoom call? I'll walk you through what the shopping process is like so that when the time comes, you feel more equipped. That's an appointment. Anytime that you set something on the calendar where you're going to talk real estate with somebody, that's an appointment. Coffee to catch up with a friend because you're going to get into real estate, I'll take it as an appointment if you haven't talked to them in a long time, but it needs to get to real estate. Thank you for being realistic in your presentation. I'm really trying. Really, I appreciate you, man. God bless you. Good stuff. What qualifies as an appointment? Thank you. First coaching Zoom here. Awesome. Thanks. Rosie, God bless you. I appreciate you. If you need anything, Rosie, shoot me a DM. If you are not sure how and what to set goals, how do you get to first base? Anonymous attendee, I want you to send me a DM because I really would love to help you work through whatever it is that you're trying to figure out. This is where you need to set a relevant goal. What is important to you? What is important to you? Tom Ferry and the ecosystem aren't just trying to get us to sell houses. They're trying to get us to be like well-rounded, happy human beings. So what's important to you? Is it being healthy? Is it being fit? Is it making money and selling houses? Is it having a closer relationship to your family? I can't set the goal for you. However, I could help you make it very clear once you've set up the goal. So I would really appreciate you, anonymous attendee. Shoot me a DM so I know who that you are. Let's figure this out. Let's talk about it. Curious for your daily calls. Who is your main target? Example, expireds, database, etc. Great question. I think it's Katya. Both. So my database and my sphere is like the biggest bulk of the calls that I'm making. Those come from like past clients, events, Facebook leads, expireds. It's like a variety of people that have just been dumped into my database. I have been working expireds because my team is now into expireds. I want to get better at them so I can support them. I did sign my first $2 million expired the other day. That was like a huge victory. But that's not like where I spend most of my time. Although after I sign that deal, I probably should spend more time there. Great reminders on what matters. I think that's it. Thanks for the time and effort you put into this. Lots of great nuggets. Kyle, Portland. Kyle, I appreciate you. I think that is all I have, my friends. I hope this was helpful. Roberto, as always, I appreciate you. God bless you. Ecosystem, great webinar. I appreciate you, Thomas and Hendy. I am going to be at the summit in Dallas. I really hope that if anybody was on this Zoom is going to be there, come up to me. I would love to meet you guys in person. Please send me the DM on Instagram. And we're in this together. We're in this together. God bless you guys.